The birth of Sagara's sons. King Sagara was a noble ruler of Ayodhya, known for his courage and righteousness. Yet, despite his victories and wealth, his heart was heavy. He had no child to inherit his throne, and he ached for an heir to continue his sacred lineage. To fulfill his destiny, Sagara had 2 wives. Queen Kashini was noble and calm as moonlight, and Queen Sumati was bright and restless as fire. Yet neither had borne him a child, and the palace halls remained quiet. Determined, the king and his queens traveled to the forest hermitage of the great Sage Bhrigu. Sagara bowed humbly before the sage, who glowed with divine light. "O revered sage," he pleaded, "bless me with sons who will carry forth my line." Sage Bhrigu opened his eyes, his gaze deep and knowing. "O king, your destiny is unique. One of your queens shall have a single son to continue your lineage, and the other shall bear 60,000 sons, powerful yet destined for a mysterious fate." The sage presented a choice. Before Queen Kashini and Queen Sumati, he offered a single, shining fruit and a cluster of tiny, glowing seeds. "Choose," he said, "a single glorious child, or countless sons of strength but perilous destiny." Queen Kashini, serene and wise, chose the single fruit. Queen Sumati, proud and eager, chose the many seeds. The sage blessed them both. "So it shall be," he declared. "But know that the 60,000 sons will be bound by fire and karma." In time, Queen Kashini gave birth to a radiant child. The palace rejoiced. The boy was named Asamanjas, brave, strong, and handsome. He was destined to inherit the throne of Ayodhya and carry forward Sagara's royal line. But the prophecy was not yet complete. From Queen Sumati's womb emerged not a child, but a single, luminous mass shaped like a golden egg. It glowed with a strange and powerful energy, leaving the court in stunned silence. Following the sage's instructions, the glowing mass was carefully divided into 60,000 tiny pots filled with ghee. For years they were tended. Then one day the pots burst open. From each emerged a radiant boy, glowing with celestial fire. The 60,000 sons of Sagara grew to be strong as thunder and fierce as flame. King Sagara watched them with pride, but also with a touch of fear. "May their power never turn to arrogance," he whispered, "for blessings, if misused, become curses." The sons of Sagara. In the grand city of Ayodhya ruled King Sagara, a mighty king of the Sun dynasty. His kingdom was peaceful and prosperous. To declare his supreme power and protect his realm forever, he decided to perform the Ashwamedha Yagna, the greatest of all royal ceremonies. A magnificent white stallion, swift as the wind and pure as snow, was chosen for the sacred rite. A golden plaque was tied to its neck, challenging any king to dispute Sagara's rule. With prayers and chants, the horse was set free to wander where it willed. But Indra, king of the gods, grew fearful of Sagara's immense power. He created a magical illusion and, unseen by all, led the sacred horse away to a secret hiding place. When the horse vanished, King Sagara was enraged. He turned to his 60,000 sons. "Find my horse," he roared. "Scour the entire world if you must." The 60,000 princes, full of pride and fury, stormed across the earth. They trampled kingdoms and tore through forests, respecting neither man nor God in their frantic search. They dug deep, deep into the ground, creating a massive chasm that would later be known as the ocean, or Sagara, in their father's name. At last, in a cavern deep beneath the world, they found the horse. It was tied peacefully to a tree outside a simple hermitage. Nearby, with his eyes closed in deep meditation, sat the great Sage Kapila. unaware of the horse or the chaos above. Seeing the sage, the princes jumped to a wrong conclusion. "Thief!" they screamed, their voices echoing in the cavern. "You dare steal the sacred horse of the Emperor Sagara? Your disrespect will be your end." They drew their swords, their faces twisted with rage. The furious shouts shattered Sage Kapila's meditation. He opened his eyes, not with wisdom, but with a terrible holy anger at the unjust accusation. A blinding flash of fire erupted from his gaze, a power born from years of penance. In a single silent moment, all 60,000 princes were turned to ash. When news of the tragedy reached Ayodhya, King Sagara's world crumbled. His pride had cost him his sons. The great Yagna was left unfinished, and the souls of his children were trapped, unable to find peace or passage to the heavens. A profound sadness fell over the kingdom. Sagara had a grandson named Anshuman, a boy as wise and kind as the princes had been proud. Seeing his grandfather's unending sorrow, Anshuman vowed to right the terrible wrong. "I will go," he said, his voice steady and brave. "I will seek forgiveness and find a way to free my uncles." Anshuman retraced the path of destruction and found the hermitage and the piles of ash. He approached Sage Kapila not with anger, but with a humble heart. He bowed low and begged for mercy. Pleased by the boy's goodness, the sage's anger softened. "Your uncle's sins were great," he said gently. "My fire cannot be undone by mortal means. Only the holy waters of the celestial River Ganga, if brought down from the heavens, can purify their ashes and grant them salvation." The Great Descent. In the ancient kingdom of Kosala, King Sagara's 60,000 sons, in their pride, disturbed the meditation of the great sage Kapila. With a single fiery glance, the sage turned them all to a pile of ash, their souls bound to the netherworld, denied peace. Generations later, King Dilip, his heart heavy with his ancestors' fate, passed the sacred vow to his son. "Bhagirath, my child," he whispered, "our penance continues. Only Ganga, the celestial river, can wash away this curse and grant our forefathers liberation." Bhagirath, renouncing his throne and worldly comforts, journeyed to the Himalayas. At Gokarna, he began a penance of unimaginable severity. For 1,000 years he stood on one toe, his arms raised to the heavens, his mind focused on a single goal. The sun blazed, the winter snows fell, and the seasons turned, but he remained as motionless as the mountains themselves. Pleased by this unwavering devotion, Lord Brahma, the creator, appeared before him, seated upon a magnificent lotus. "Bhagirath, your will has moved the cosmos," Brahma's voice echoed. "I grant your wish. The goddess Ganga shall descend to earth." He paused, a note of caution in his tone. "But the earth cannot withstand her fall. You must seek the aid of Lord Shiva, for only he can bear her impact." So Bhagirath began a new penance, this time to honor Lord Shiva. For an entire year he stood on his toes, consuming nothing but air. His devotion reached Kailasa, the silver mountain where Shiva, the great ascetic, resided. The Lord of all beings, moved by Bhagirath's selfless plea for his ancestors, appeared before him in all his glory. "I will hold the mighty Ganga," Shiva declared, his voice like the deep rumble of thunder. "I shall receive her in my matted locks." As the gods and sages watched from the heavens, the celestial river began her descent. Proud and mighty, Ganga surged downwards in a torrent of cosmic energy, a waterfall that threatened to shatter the very foundations of the world. But as the river fell upon him, she was caught. Lord Shiva's matted hair, the Jatamukuta, became a divine labyrinth, trapping the powerful goddess within its endless coils. For years, Ganga wandered through the maze of Shiva's locks, her pride humbled, her ferocious energy tamed, until she was as gentle as a mountain spring. Seeing that Ganga was now calm, Lord Shiva released a single lock of his hair. From it flowed 7 gentle streams. One stream, the Bhagirathi, followed the king who had brought her to earth. Bhagirath climbed into his celestial chariot and blew a conch shell, its divine sound echoing across the plains, guiding the sacred waters. The river followed the sound of his chariot, purifying every land she touched. On her journey, she accidentally flooded the sacrificial ground of the sage Jahnu. In his anger, the sage swallowed the entire river in a single gulp. The gods pleaded with him, and he relented, releasing Ganga through his ear. For this, she is also known as Jahnavi, the daughter of Jahnu. Bhagirath continued his journey, leading the now even more sanctified river across the continent of India. He led her onward toward the eastern sea, to the very place where the ashes of his ancestors lay in a desolate pile, waiting for their final rites. At last, they arrived. As the holy water of the Ganga touched the cursed ash, a miracle occurred. The 60,000 souls of the sons of Sagara were instantly purified. Shimmering forms of light rose from the ground, their hands folded in gratitude, finally free to ascend to the heavens. Bhagirath watched, tears of fulfillment streaming down his face. His lifelong vow was complete.